welcome to Education, Leadership, and Beyond, Surviving and Thriving. My name is Andrew Murata, host of the show, and happy to be live with you here on Facebook, proud member of the Education Podcast Network, VoiceHead Radio Canada, wherever you're taking in your podcast. Thank you so much. Leave us a positive review, leave us a comment, and certainly pass it on to a friend. Word of mouth is a home run, and we got some people tuning in tonight because of word of mouth. We are going to meet Jose Sanchez, Assistant Superintendent, Oakdale Unified Schools, California, in just a moment. But first, a quick word from IXL. They've been a long-time sponsor of the show. Appreciate them, and certainly is a positive program, an excellent program for educators everywhere. Here's from IXL.
I'd like to thank IXL for sponsoring today's podcast. Over 1 million teachers use IXL in their classroom every day. IXL is the most widely used online learning and teaching platform K through 12. It empowers schools with complete curriculum, thousands of instructional resources, robust reporting, assessment data, and more. It saves teachers a lot of valuable time with ready-made plans aligned to the standards and the textbooks. Built-in engagement tools like custom competitions make learning fun for students. And IXL's diagnostic is research proven to be a strong predictor of performance on standardized assessments. And the best part, everything I just mentioned is all integrated into one platform, so you can simplify your EdTech tools. Visit IXL.com to lead your students towards data-driven excellence today. The link is in the show notes. And again, appreciate IXL sponsoring today's podcast.
Thank you, IXL. Appreciate that. If you're an educator, I'm sure you've heard of them. If you haven't, certainly check them out. The link is in the show notes. Let's get started. We're going to meet Jose in just a moment. It is Thursday, October 30th. So whether you're in California, here in New York, Pennsylvania, wherever you are, tomorrow's Halloween. And people are going to be dressing up to be somebody else, right? People are going to be dressing up and pretending to be somebody else. So think about that concept. Who is it that you wish you could be, right? Sometimes we say, I wish I was more confident. I wish I was more disciplined. I wish I was a better speaker. I wish I was, right? But then we don't become that person. Tomorrow, people are putting on costumes. They're going to become somebody else. Well, the concept here for the opening section of the podcast here is act as if, right? I didn't always know how to host a podcast, but I acted as if. I didn't always know how to referee college basketball, but when I got out on that court, I had to act as if. And when we act as if, we become the way we act, right? Don't you hear all the time about great actors? They immerse themselves in their character and they become their character. Well, maybe we want to be more assertive at work. Maybe we want to be more positive at work, right? Well, act more positive, and then you will become the way you act. You just don't need Halloween to dress up as somebody else. You can get there by acting as that and then becoming. People say fake it till you make it. I say act it until you feel it and become that person that you want to be. So happy Halloween, everyone. Enough of me blabbering. Let's get them in from Oakdale, California. Long day at work. My friend Jose. Welcome, Jose. It's good to see you.
Thanks. Nice to see you guys.
Yeah.
Nice to see you, Mr. Murata. Yeah.
Yeah. Jose, call me Andrew, please.
Andrew, yes.
You're still at work, but I'm off hours here in the East Coast.
Yeah, it's 4 o'clock now, so
Yeah.
I can relax a little, right?
That's right. Well, welcome, Jose. I know it's been a couple years, and certainly appreciate you staying in touch with me. Jose and I connected years ago, and now you're the Assistant Superintendent, Oakdale Schools, second year, right, Jose?
Second year, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about this new position, how you've grown into it, and a little bit about Oakdale.
So let me start off with a little bit about Oakdale. It's a school, very great school district, old school traditions. They have a huge group of dedicated teachers. That's one thing that I'm learning. Board is, yeah, it's a really great school district. The district has been, the board members have been serving for a very long time. Turnover rate is very low. Everyone wants to come to Oakdale. It's a high performance
Nice.
district. We had 4 of the top 10 elementary schools score the highest in their test scores. So, yeah, really, really great. So it's a great position to be in. I was blessed to be given the opportunity to become the assistant superintendent of human resources, which means it's not hiring and firing like people think it is. It's basically hiring and supporting our staff to become better. So that's the way I look at it. Supporting our staff and just doing what we can to make their job a little bit easier.
Nice.
Yeah.
Jose, what's something that you've learned now this year that you didn't know in your first year?
I think coming in last year, there's so many things that we want to change. We want to become change agents from one day to another. And if there's one thing that I've learned is build those relationships. Get to know why systems are in place and why they are so passionate about, making that change. Building relationships was important to me. One of the things that I learned was, I need to spend more time in the school setting, supporting those individuals who work with our students. I can be sitting here in the office, drinking my cup of coffee and bombard myself with paperwork and wouldn't be the best thing, right? But being out there, getting to know the people is what counts, and builds that credibility with district office administration and school site employees. I think that's important. And we also forget about our classified employees. It's very important that we support them as well. They're opening up our schools, they're cooking for our kids, they're greeting them in the morning. So that's one thing that I've learned is get away from the office from the first year to this year. I'm not going to stay stuck here just doing paperwork. I can be here 8 hours a day, and it's not the best area to be in. It's better to be out there and supporting our staff and getting to know the staff that's supporting our kids. And the other thing too is getting to know the community. Getting to meet those parents who are your daily parents who drop off kids and are the key stakeholders. Your school site council parents, your PTO, PTA parents. That's probably the biggest thing that I learned last year from this year is just because I'm in a new district doesn't mean I'm going to bombard myself and make all these changes from one day to another. Get to know the people first. Then we make changes with getting their input.
That's a great point. And Jose, right? Physically going there, like you said, to build relationships.
Mm-hmm.
But what are some other skills, right? What are some skills, some intentional things, some characteristics that you're bringing to the table to do that?
Communication. I think it's important to communicate. Sometimes when we do make change, they always question the why. Why are we doing things? It's very important for us to communicate. One thing that we've done with our HR department is we've created an HR newsletter, monthly newsletter. It goes out, and sometimes, things get lost in the collective bargaining agreements. There are some incentives that employees have, such as not missing one day of work. You get a bonus, right? A little payout. A lot of employees don't know about that. So it's important for us to be able to share those good things that we have for them, those incentives. And just, again, being able to greet them and listen to them. I think listening is probably the biggest key that we need to do as leaders. Take the time and just listen a little bit. They have concerns. Listening to them, we may not always be able to accommodate their request, but we do know that we can make change moving forward, right? We go into negotiations for the contract. I have a pattern of behavior that I've been seeing. That's something I can address. For the betterment of the whole group. So being out there and talking to them and just listening, we can do all the talking. And I'm a talker. You probably know me already. I'm a talker, but it's important to be able to listen. Be able to listen to our staff and what their concerns are and most importantly, what's working. But the most important thing that I always tell everybody is acknowledging their hard work. You see them, you appreciate them for being there. Thank you for doing this and thank you for doing that. I noticed that you greeted little Johnny today. I appreciate you doing that. Just acknowledging the little things, because we do have employees that, we all go through personal things, outside of work, and just being able to feel comfortable at work. I think that's also important. Having those characteristics of just feeling valued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jose, I heard somebody recently share, not only tell that person, but then you extend it, right? You tell when you're presenting, you're at a meeting and you say, hey, Jose did this in school today, and Jose's a great employee because he, boom, boom, boom. You extend it to make that recognition go a little bit further. So that's something that I've added to my routine there, because I thought that was great. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And just even acknowledging, just if you don't want to single anybody out, just singling out a certain group, a certain grade level that has done something. One of the things that when I was a former board member, the start of the school year, who prepares the school to be ready for welcoming kids? Our grounds, custodians. Yeah, perfect example.
Yeah.
He's looking great, so.
Well, at Gold Rets on YouTube says Jose's a great leader. So you got one check there, Jose.
Awesome.
Yeah. Somebody likes you.
Yeah, thanks.
Jose, I'm at the district level myself too, right? And I travel. I go out with my notepad and stuff. But what's your strategy? Someone tells you something. You just talked about listening, communication. But connected to that is then following up. If you're on the road, if you're in the hallway, if you're not at your computer and you're walking along and someone says, hey, Mr. Sanchez, A, B, and C. And if you got ADD like me, you turn the whole, you forgot A, B, and you don't even remember C, How do you retain that information? Who said it to you? And then what's the action plan? How do you get that information back to your desk to be able to act on it?
The follow through is important. I'm a golfer, so if you don't follow through with that golf swing, your ball's gonna go to the left or right. So it's important for us to follow through. Anytime someone has a concern, and in my department, somebody will bring up a concern. It's always important for me to say, is this a formal complaint, or are you just letting me know so I can, just keep it under the radar? I can follow through with it later, keep it under the radar. Or is it just an FYI, right? It's always important to be able to ask those questions. I always carry my device, and sometimes, I let staff know, I'm not ignoring you. I'm writing down what you're saying. And I use the notes on my phone to be able to either draft myself a task, to be able to follow up on something. Sometimes there's a lot of things that I don't have all the answers. So there are times where I follow up with an email to someone to if they can please look into it. It may be a site concern. I'll email the principal and I'll just say, can you look into this for me? So-and-so brought it up to my attention. And we, that's what I usually do. I usually do a follow-up, either notes or an email, which really works. Employees appreciate that. And the first thing is, I'm not going to ignore you. I'm not going on my phone to be, to snoop around. I'm just going to, follow through and write down the notes or send an email so we can address your concern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm at my desk here at home, and I'm emptying my pockets, and I got notes of things I got to do, but the electronic, absolutely there.
Wow.
Jose, we jumped right in at Oakdale. You're in your second year, assistant superintendent. If you're watching, friends, please jump in and say hello. If you work with Jose, Jose, please drop a positive comment in the chat. But Jose, prior to that, you had some different leadership positions. Tell me about some of your background that led to where you are today.
I did. I started off as a teacher, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. I only taught for 4.5 years, which is really, really short amount of time. I got into an assistant principal role at Apricot Valley in Patterson. Was only there for 1.5 years. They had several principals, and 3 principals in 3 years. So I was 29 years old when the position came open, and I had a lot of staff say, we like what you did in the 1.5 years as an AP. So
oh my goodness.
Why? So I became principal right away. 2008, I believe it was.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was 29 years old. I had no clue what was going on, but the most important thing was making sure that I took feedback, constructive criticism from my superiors, from staff, and just working with them and listening. So I did the assistant principal for 1.5 years, principal for 9 years at the elementary school.
Wow.
High performing elementary school in Patterson. At that time, our highest API was 856. It's kind of a rating scale that we had that's kind of obsolete now. After that, I felt like there was a school in the district, the continuation high school, in which students were struggling. And my superintendent comes to me one day and he says, I can't find anybody for that position. And I don't know why. I said, I'll take it. At that time, I'm like, oh, I don't know what I just said. I'm leaving the highest performing school and going to a school where the needs are very, very different. So went to the continuation. For the first month, I was regretting my decision. Students were getting in trouble, doing things they shouldn't have been doing. We had some physical altercations. I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking. I want to go back to my elementary school. After a month, we put some systems in place. The veteran staff that was there, in collaboration with the new staff, and my ideas of coming in and changing the site, we blended all well together. We actually go to lunch often. We still meet up. With Gold Rets is one of them. So we meet up, we talk, but we developed a really great program for 7.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, we had, at that time, my biggest stat that everyone really, we look at graduation rates and we look at other things, but I was very proud because we had about an average of 120 students. And during that time, I would say we have physical altercations. We had about 4.
Wow.
Time there. It was important for us to be able to get those students that were having difficulties with each other, sit them down, talk to them, and figure out, okay, what's going on? This is not the way you solve your problem, right? It's about talking, communicating. We're not going to go out there and start, fighting each other and, creating a scene and things like that. So we created some incentives with local businesses. McDonald's sponsored us for a monthly luncheon for students of the month. So I would take about 5 or 6 students with me to McDonald's, have lunch. Made a big, big difference. We had a caterer come out, make some burritos for our students, charge $3 to $4, but you get a good meal. So those were incentives that we did for kids. The teachers really went above and beyond as well. At both of those schools, I had a really great team. Very impressed with the staff that I worked with. To this day, I still go out to lunch with my elementary teachers from Apricot Valley and my teachers from Del Puerto. We don't get together, but I get together with some of the staff from Del Puerto. So our continuation. Yeah. So that was great. And then that led me to a directorship in Merced City School District as HR, doing HR. The director position wasn't really, it was a philosophical difference that we had. I called it quits after a month. And I think that's one thing that I was really, really, ashamed of myself for, leaving a really great place like Del Puerto High School, going to a district that was, they had different ways of thinking. Decided to leave after 6 months and decided to go to elementary school here in Modesto, Sylvan School District, Freedom Elementary. I keep calling that place Disneyland. I got there and the staff was welcoming, very easy to work with. Even last night, I just played bunco with them. We still get together. So, being in 3 different districts in that amount of time was really, it allowed me to build relationships. Wow. Even though I was there for a short time in Merced, I was able to build relationships there as well. But Freedom, I landed at a good place at Freedom Elementary, another high-performing school. Really great. And, during that time in springtime, I had a couple of offers for district office jobs. I kind of was having a little bit of PTSD, and I really didn't want to go back after being in Merced for a short amount of time. But Oakdale just sounded like a great fit. Looking at changes, getting us up to par with our districts around the county, with, some of the policies and procedures that we're lacking here. The superintendent's great, has been a great role model, Larry Mendoza. He's a great role model. He supported our decision making from the HR department. And, again, I work with great assistant soups, great principals, but most importantly, hardworking teachers and classified that we have here. So really, really great district. I made a good choice, even though I missed the relationships that I built last year at Freedom, short amount of time. I'm always going to be thankful to have had that opportunity and gotten to work with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jose, you had said kind of the stereotype of HR, like sometimes, it's hiring and firing, right? It's all
Yeah.
dealing with all but there are some difficult things you have to deal with. There are some tense situations,
Yeah.
as in the life of a principal as well.
Yeah.
How do you approach some of those situations when it is a difficult topic, when it is a hard conversation, and there might be some of this, because it's easy to build relationships with smiles and hugs. It's
Yeah.
hard with a difficult situation. How do you approach those?
The first thing we look at is what's best for the organization. And who do we serve? We serve our students, right? So anytime we're making difficult decisions, we have to look at what's best for our students. That's the mindset that we go into. Had a conversation with some of the staff, and something that I used was, a lot of the staff didn't feel valued. Past couple of years, they felt concerned about certain things, and I just said, well, you got to look at it this way. We got to look at kids being the number one group that we're serving. They're 1A, staff is 1B, right? I mean, we got students come first. So it's very important that we, come up and focus on what's best for our students. Anytime we have difficult conversations, we always look at that. How is this going to impact students in the classroom? Currently, right now, we're going through negotiations. We have the contract reopener. Contract reopener with teachers means that we opened up a lot of articles, and it requires a lot of work. But it requires for us to have that conversation, that difficult conversation back and forth. If I'm going to have a difficult conversation and I'm going to give my point, I better expect to receive it back, because I know the other side's going to have their concerns. And it's that listening piece that I talked about. It's very important to be able to build those relationships, so we can be able to listen when they have concerns. So there's a lot of back and forth, but respectfully, we have great conversations. And I think the most important thing, like you said, sometimes it doesn't become a fight. It just becomes a dialogue and a conversation. And I'm proving my point, you're proving your point. How is it going to benefit kids? That's what we have to look at. So that's a great example right now that we do. We want to be fair and consistent when we make decisions here in the HR department. Just because so-and-so has been working for 20 years doesn't mean they're going to get an advantage over somebody who's been working 5 because they know certain people. It's about being fair and consistent. We look at the contract. We try to follow it as close to it as possible. There are some areas that are gray, and that's when the conversations come into play.
Yeah. Jose, the negotiations, things like that, but there's also teachers and staff have their own personal lives, right? Some people think they can do whatever they want in their personal life, or they can do whatever they want on social media. Yeah. And we're live on a podcast right now. We're live. This is not edited, and we're filming live here. Talk to me about some of the things you've seen regarding social media, and what would be some advice you would have for educators who are on social media. We've seen it. People, whether they're in a public place and they're on video and something happens, or they text something or post something and it goes sideways, and now it's on your desk.
Yeah.
What would be some advice that you would offer to educators and people in a professional setting regarding social media?
I think the one thing that we always think about is we have our lives, right? We have our lives outside of work. We should be able to do this. We should be able to do that with nobody interfering. However, people are going to criticize what you post and what you put on social media. So anything that you put on social media, no matter if you delete it after an hour, it's always going to be somewhere, right? Someone snapped a screenshot of it. Someone shared it with so-and-so. Very, very important for us to be able to make sure that we are posting things that we would want. Like I would say, I would want my parents to see, right? My parents and my children being role models for your own family. Is this something that you would want your family to see? I have a mindset of going into whatever I'm going to post on Facebook, on Instagram, anything like that, any chats that I have with anybody. If my kids took my phone right now, I have a 25, 22, and 12-year-old. If any of my kids took my phone right now, I would be okay with what they see. Try to be that role model. But very important, we just have to set ourselves up for professionalism so we don't have that negative banter that we're going to have, from that parent coming in and saying, well, you're accusing my kid of saying inappropriate language, but what about you in that picture on social media? So that's very, very important that we be careful. I work for Oakdale. I worked for Patterson for many years, and I worked, for Sylvan for a year. even that 1 year that I worked for Sylvan School District at Freedom Elementary, I go to the World Market, I go to Trader Joe's, and I run into these kids. So very, very important. Just like I'm out there in public, is the way we should be treating our social media. How would you behave out there in public? I try to be very careful, even if my kid drives me crazy. Try to be careful and just remain calm, right? Because you never know who's watching. Same thing with social media. You just never know who's watching. There could be a time where you can accidentally click live on Facebook, and if you say something or inappropriately do something, everyone's going to be out there to watch. So always being careful of just, having that mindset of you don't want that used against you. So anything that we do outside of our lives, great. We're having fun. We're at a concert. We may be having an alcoholic beverage, but just know that if you post it, it's going to get out there pretty soon.
Yeah. And that concept of, right, if it impacts the school district, if it impacts your work in a negative way, we got a situation that we have to deal with.
Yeah, and for some reason, educators, we're held to a high standard, which is great, right? But we're held to a higher standard, and I think a lot of the times we're easily criticized for having an alcoholic beverage on the weekend, and it's just why give them any avenues to be able to use it against us. So trying to be very careful with that.
Jose, you mentioned your children, and I see a couple Sanchez's in the chat. A shout out to Adrian, Lena, and your son Christian. I believe CJ Sanchez 8293. He says you're so tough he eats 67 mangoes. But Jose, show me a man's family, and you show me the man. Your children. Adrian, biology graduate from CSU. I don't know how to pronounce that. Stanislaus.
Yeah.
Lena, UC Merced, degree in cellular and molecular biology, and Christian, who's a ball of energy. I mean, just incredible. Congratulations, your kid's doing this great thing. How'd your daughters get into science? Adrian, is it female? Is it or male? Sorry,
male. Adrian,
male. Sorry. Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
Adrian, male. So how did your son and daughter get into the field of science? I mean, incredible there.
That's the interesting question. I don't know. And even if I ask them, they won't have an answer for me. But both very bright kids started reading at a very young age. I believe my son was about 3 when he started reading, and my daughter was just slightly over 3 when she started reading full sentences when they were kids. And, I don't know what it was. They were great students in school, always worked hard. They're my driving force. To do better in life, to be a better father, to be a better professional. Christian's a smart kid. I think without my older son and my daughter, I'm sorry for saying this, but Christian, he's outsmarted them big time. That kid knows so much. Sometimes I have to be a little bit careful with what I say and do around him because he knows so much. He's more of a street smart kid. He knows a lot.
Okay.
Bright kid, but yeah, they're all bright. My oldest is going to be an RN. He's going to start college in January, so that's going to be a good thing. And my daughter's working on her master's in I don't know what field of science because she's too smart for us. Attending University of San Francisco, lives in my dream city, San Francisco, and I go visit her every 2 weeks just to hang out.
Yeah, I saw some of those pictures with the Niners jersey, Niners gear on there.
Yeah.
Some of the pictures.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Jose, a young administrator, young school leader out there, young children. What advice? Because obviously these kids are on the right track here. What advice would you say? Hey, man, as a school leader and as a dad, I would. What would you offer for them?
I think the biggest thing is having a balance in life. Working really hard when I'm here at work. I don't recommend anybody not take a lunch, but there are times where I don't take a lunch. I work really hard. I want to be able to get home and spend time with the kids and at least know they're on the right path. But most importantly, offering your support to the students. Sorry, not students, my kids. Sometimes we get home and we're just tired and we don't want to deal with anything. But just checking in, even if it's a 5-minute check-in with my 26-year-old, he hates it. He probably gets mad when I walk in his room and and I ask how his day was, and he looks at me side eye and is, like, everything was fine, Dad. Calling my daughter and, asking the same question, what are you doing? It's just my way of checking in, right? Making sure that they're okay. They have what they need. Dad's got their back. I'm not the richest guy, but emotional support, guidance, anything like that to be able to support them. With my 12-year-old, a little bit different, making sure now that tomorrow will be the first Halloween I won't be able to spend time with him because he wants to spend time with his friends.
Okay.
So Dad's at
you got
now.
bumped.
Yeah. So it'll be different for me to be home alone for Thanksgiving, but having that trust with my kids as well is very important. With my two older ones, they're going out. Hey guys, just make sure you guys don't do X, Y, and Z. I love you guys. Have fun. Be responsible. And that's the most important thing. And with my 12-year-old, same thing. Tomorrow you're going to be first time going out, asking for candy by yourself. Just be careful. X, Y, and Z. Don't do that. And just be kind and respectful. And that's the biggest thing that I ask of them, to be kind and respectful towards others. Yep.
Well, you're modeling that, Jose. Nice. Your kids
Thank
jumped
you.
in here on the chat, and just beautiful to see the track they are going on. Going to do great things there. Very cool. Jose, a couple other things, but before we get to some of the questions, anything you wanted to share? Anything you wanted to talk about that I didn't ask you?
Wow. I think anything in education is tough, right? Any job in education, it can be hard. We go home and we're thinking to ourselves, why do we get into this field? We have to make sure we keep the students in sight, close to, in mind. Anytime we're making decisions, it's what's best for them. We're going to get punched, not physically, but, emotionally, we're going to get punched. We're going to fall down, and we have to just get up. We have to just get up and continue what's best for kids. We're their advocates. And even in the HR world, I chose this route so I can help improve our staffing and do what's best for kids. And, again, just, we're always going to get knocked down. We're always going to, have difficult times. But we have to get up and we have to be ready the next day to take on the next challenges. What doesn't kill us, may only hurt us for a while, right? So, just continue to, give it 110%. And it's a tough job. And we have one goal, and that's to make sure our students have the best education possible.
Jose Sanchez, Oakdale Schools, friends. Jose, wide question here. Question. You got assistant principal, you got teacher leaders, you got superintendents. Wide question. Every day, school leaders should. Give me the top 3 things. Wide question, so you can take it where you want.
Every day we should greet our staff and check in. I think that's the most important thing. Just check in. It can be emotional, it can be work, it can be anything, but just check in. Number 2, I would say, organize yourself. I think that's very, very important. What does your day look like? Before you go into the office, know what type of meetings you have so you can prepare for. And I think at the end of the day, number 3, I think we all work in education. I think it's important for us to see those kids every day. And that's my goal. My goal is to be out at a school site so I can see why we're in this field to support our students. And I think that's important. That right there helps me remember the why we do this.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself getting down in those 1st and 2nd grade classrooms too?
I have to say, I always go. I have a tendency of going anything 3rd and above, but I do like to go to our transitional kindergarten because that's where we have our, we're starting to get our behaviors down. They're having a transition from, going to school for the first time. So, but I try to keep it 3rd and above.
Yeah. What happens tomorrow in Oakdale? What are you doing for Halloween? Does any grade get to dress up? Is there a parade? What happens tomorrow in the school?
Do their celebration. They have their little parades. They do their own thing. It's a minimum day. So in the HR, it looks a little bit different. Tomorrow I will be catching up with work. I've been out of the office for 2 to 3 days, just working on interviews, negotiations. Tomorrow's my catch-up day. So
okay.
I will sit down and catch up, maybe sneak off for, 30 minutes, go to a school site and check in, see what they're doing. And,
nice.
maybe take a piece of candy for myself.
Well, it's a Friday. Hopefully you have good weather. It's just it's a fun day. It's a crazy day for educators for sure. And I know when it hits 3 o'clock for educators, they can catch their breath, and then they go do it again with their families and their communities. So
Yeah.
we'll enjoy that tomorrow.
Thank you.
And we're excited to hear in Port Jervis schools, and it'll be fun. So let's get to rapid fire. You got to get home. You got to have dinner. Christian's waiting for you.
Yeah.
But these are rapid fire questions. Quick answer. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. Last movie you saw?
Black Phone 2.
Oh,
yeah,
yes?
Really good, really good, really good. Yeah.
Last concert you went to?
I went to a Spanish concert. Alejandro Fernandez. I don't know if anybody knows them, but he really great singer. Father
Fantastic.
was.
Habla español? You sang in Spanish?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah,
oh,
that's
man.
one of my favorite singers. So a lot of singing. I was tired by the end of the night.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Last song you sang out loud in the car?
I Want to Know What Love Is.
Yeah,
that's my favorite song.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Did you answer the question? I mean, did you figure it out through the song?
Yeah, still working on it. Still working on it.
Jose, California, Latino background. I'm excited for your answer. What's your favorite dish?
Oh man, I have a lot, but I would have to say sushi. Any type of sushi roll. Just love eating sushi. Okay. I will take anything. Just as long as it's not a California roll. That's like a beginner roll, right? Anything, any sushi will do.
Give me your spice level. Heavy spicy?
Every spice, yeah. When I eat Mexican food, it's got to be spicy.
You're doubting your forehead afterwards.
Very few times have I done that.
Okay.
Yeah. It's got to be really, really strong for me to break a sweat.
I like it. I relax by fill in the blank.
I would have to say on my couch, watching sports, just getting away from work a little bit. Golfing is another one, but I think that would be the next question. I jumped into it. But I would say watching TV on a daily, just being able to clear my mind, watch sports, staying away from the news. I used to watch a lot of news, but now it's become a little negative. So I like to just watch sports and see what, get my mind clear a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned golf a few times, right? You got to have your outlet. So what does golf do for you as a stress reliever?
Oh gosh, it clears your mind, definitely. You're out there, walking around nature, just seeing the trees, getting some vitamin D out in the sun, being able to focus on something else other than work and life. It's just, you're focusing on hitting that ball. And it may sound silly, but it is a huge stress reliever. Being able to calculate yards and what iron you're going to use, what, the slopes, everything. It's just, it's great. It's a great way to get your mind off of work and anything else that's going on.
Central Valley there, California, you're playing year round. What's the temperature in February, January? What you playing?
Yeah, I'm playing. I'm looking at about 50 degrees, anywhere between 50 to 65 degrees. Weather's been crazy the past couple of years, but I can still get out. If it's raining, I don't get out. But if it's foggy, I'll find my ball. I'll just make sure I use a neon yellow ball that I can find.
In 2025, I have fill in the blank.
Started taking care of my health more. I think that's important. Eating better, working out, just making sure I, appreciate the little things in life that we have.
It's crazy. I turned 50 this summer, right? It's crazy how you go into that portal and you start looking at all those things, right?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
In 2025, I have stopped
being negative. I think that's one of the things, looking at the glass half empty is not going to get us anywhere. There's a lot of things in life that we go through, professional, personal, and just focusing on the positive things that we have. So I would say I've stopped looking at things in a negative way. Any negative experience that we have, just making sure we look at the positives. In every negative situation, there's got to be something positive that comes out of it. So that's kind of the way I look at things. I stopped focusing on the negatives.
You are a superhero, but if you had a real superpower, what would that superpower be?
I would say selfishly, I would just want to fly around and do all that. But I think working with people, a superpower, is just being able to change behaviors and help them out. I really like helping people. And I think when people are emotionally drained or down, I just want to change their behavior and just I want to make them happy. So having that superpower of just making everybody smile, and being happy and appreciating the little things that we have in life.
Bring
Yeah,
that to him, right? Bring that to
yeah,
him.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just making them smile. That's it. That's it.
Jose, you shared a lot of passions, again, a lot of positive things here. But what's a pet peeve? What's something that gets under your skin?
Negativity and lack of follow through.
Mm,
Those are two things that really get to me.
yeah.
When you say you're going to do something, you don't do it. Kind of bothers me. But also the negativity. Like I said, in every negative situation, we got to find one positive thing out of it. There's got to be something. It can either be a learning experience or something, but focus on what you learned from that negative experience.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
when we tell ourselves that something good is going to come of this, you're
yeah.
going to find it.
You're gonna find it. Yep,
It's
yep,
true. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, you mentioned San Francisco. I've seen the Niners in some of the pictures. You're in California, which is a wide range there. Who's your team?
I would have to say the Niners and the Warriors in basketball. I used to be an
Yeah.
Oakland A's fan. I still am a little bit. I'm a little sad that they left Oakland. It's not the same.
Yeah.
So, I pull for the Dodgers as my second team, but die hard when the 49ers lose, I will be upset. I will,
Okay.
yeah, be in a bad mood. And I'm just, in basketball, I'm just a Steph Curry fan, so growing up watching the Warriors, Chris Mullin, who's from the East Coast, was one of my former players, famous favorite players, watching him play with his flat top. I always wanted that flat top when I was a kid. So
And that jump shot.
and a jump shot. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not, I don't got the height advantage, but yeah, watching those teams really is relaxing. Right now I have both Niners and the Warriors playing, and it's fun to watch.
As an East Coast guy, you watch what happens. I mean, it's a shame Oakland, right, played the Yankees all these years,
Yeah,
and what happened with that city versus the Golden State Warriors. I mean, the new stadium. I mean, it was two different things. I mean, with what happened with those franchises,
yeah, yeah. Very disappointed with my A's, but we'll see. Once they get to Vegas, when they settle in,
Oh, it's gonna be big time.
I'll reconsider. I may reconsider.
Yeah. Friends, this is Jose Sanchez, Assistant Superintendent, Oakdale Schools. Jose, one thing you're curious about?
What am I curious about? I would have to say, why is there so much negativity in the world, and so many, so many things happening that, losing the old school values. I would say that's probably what I'm curious about. Why are we changing? There are times where I go home and I think, why is this family going through this? And why is so-and-so, dealing with this? And just, it's one of the reasons why I stay away from the news. Lately I've been, staying away, but I'm curious why we are dealing with a lot of negative situations. And that's why I have that mindset of spin it around. Let's focus on the positive.
And Jose, right? People get to choose their content. A number of people are watching live now. Jump in and leave a positive comment here. But that's why I love podcasts. That's why I love blogs, because you get to choose your positive. You get to literally choose it. And if you don't want it, you just knock it off your phone. So
Correct.
Jose, you did fantastic here. This was a lot of fun. I knew you'd be a great guest. How about a quote? You have a quote that you want to share to end the show?
Yeah, everyone, I did. I have a quote that we use, and I believe it's a Robin Williams quote. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about.
Yeah.
Be kind. Be kind. That's the reason why, in the HR world, despite someone doing something that they shouldn't be doing, you still got to treat them with kindness. Hold them accountable, but still be kind. We don't know what people are going through.
Jose Sanchez, everyone. Oakdale Schools. Jose, a lot of fun, and I wish you the best. Congratulations, your beautiful family there. Adrian, Lena and Christian, your family, your children. So God bless you, my friend, and keep surviving and thriving, okay?
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me, and God bless you too, my friend.
Yeah. Jose Sanchez, Oakdale Schools. Jose, I appreciate you, buddy. Keep rolling.
Thank you.